Welcome back to Godless and Grounded. Have you ever wondered how religion actually begins? I mean, really begins. Not the way scriptures tell it, but how humans come up with the whole structure. The gods, the rituals, the stories, the taboos, the rules, the rewards, the punishments, the afterlife, all of it. Where does it come from? Is it handed down by some divine force? Or do we, as humans, build it up ourselves, piece by piece, generation after generation? To answer that, we need to go back, way back, before temples, before holy books, before prophets even had names. Imagine early humans living in small groups, facing a wild and dangerous world. Thunderstorms, disease, earthquakes, drought, predators, everything around them seemed unpredictable and threatening. And they had no science, no medicine, no understanding of biology, astronomy, or weather. But what they did have was imagination. Humans are storytelling animals. It's one of our greatest strengths. We see patterns. We create meaning. If the sky turns dark and it starts to storm, we look for a reason. If a child gets sick and dies, we want to know why. And when there's no obvious answer, we invent one. That's not a flaw. It's how the brain works. In fact, it's how we survive. We connect dots, even when no real connection exists. It helps us feel in control in a chaotic world. So early humans looked at lightning and thought, someone must be throwing that down. They saw disease and said, someone must be angry. They watched the sun rise and set and figured, something powerful must be pulling it across the sky. That's how gods were born, not from facts, but from fear and wonder, from the human need to explain what we couldn't yet understand. This wasn't a conscious lie. People weren't trying to deceive. These were honest attempts to explain the world using the limited tools available. Over time, these explanations got more detailed. People told stories. The stories turned into traditions. Traditions turned into rituals. And rituals slowly became sacred. But let's go further. Once you have gods in the story, the next logical step is, what do they want? Why do they make it rain or send a plague? Why do they bless some people and curse others? This is where morality enters. People started thinking, maybe the gods reward good behavior and punish bad behavior. But what's good or bad? That depends on the society. So what did early humans do? They wrote their own moral codes and attached them to divine authority. Don't steal, or the gods will be angry. Don't lie, or you'll suffer in the afterlife. Respect the elders, give sacrifices, follow the priest, and you'll be rewarded. What started as social rules, helpful for group survival, became religious commandments backed by supernatural force. And here's where it gets really interesting. When rules are just rules, people might question them. But when rules are from the gods, they become harder to challenge. This is where religion becomes a powerful tool, not just for personal meaning, but for social control. Think about it. If I can convince you that a divine being told me the rules, then you have to obey them, or else risk eternal punishment. That gives religious leaders incredible authority. Over time, priests, shamans, prophets, and holy men took on more and more power. They became the gatekeepers of divine truth. They decided what was moral, what was sinful, what was pure, and what was profane. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's how human systems evolve. Look at history. Ancient Egypt had priests who controlled temple wealth and claimed to speak for the gods. In Mesopotamia, kings were seen as chosen by the gods, or even gods themselves. In Hindu traditions, the caste system was justified as divinely ordained. In medieval Europe, the church claimed the authority to crown kings and dictate laws. Over and over, we see religion entangled with political and social control. Now let's talk about texts, the holy books. They didn't drop from the sky. They were written, edited, translated, re-edited, and canonized by people. Take the Bible, for example. It's a collection of stories written over centuries by different authors with different agendas. Some parts were included, others were left out. Councils voted on which books were divinely inspired and which weren't. The Quran, the Torah, the Vedas, the Tripitaka, all of them went through human hands. Yet billions are taught to see them as unchangeable, eternal words of a divine being. And that raises an important question. Why do so many religions look so different, yet follow the same patterns? Because they all come from the same source, the human mind. Across the world, you'll find cultures that never contacted each other, yet they all developed something religious. They built temples, created gods, made up myths, invented rituals, taught moral rules, promised rewards in the afterlife, and threatened punishments for disobedience. It's not divine coincidence, it's psychological necessity. Every religion uses a similar blueprint because all humans share the same cognitive biases. We overdetect agency, seeing intention behind natural events. We believe in authority, we're loyal to groups, we fear death. We crave meaning. Religion takes all of that and builds a system that answers our deepest fears while reinforcing social norms. And here's another key piece: stories. Religion isn't built on arguments or data. It's built on stories. Powerful stories that speak to our emotions. The story of a savior, of sacrifice, of redemption. The story of creation. The story of judgment. These stories shape how people see the world, not because they're provable, but because they're relatable. They speak to our hopes, our pain, our longing to belong. And once a religion takes root in a culture, it becomes very hard to question. From childhood, people are taught the stories as fact. They're not allowed to see them as just stories, or they're sacred truths. Schools, families, governments all reinforce the same narrative. Questioning becomes taboo. Doubt becomes dangerous. That's how religion becomes embedded, not just in belief but in identity. And yet, over time, religions change. That's another clue that they are human-made. If they came from a perfect, unchanging God, why do they evolve? Why do practices disappear, texts get reinterpreted, doctrines shift? Slavery used to be justified by religion. Now it's condemned. Women were once banned from leadership roles in many faiths. Now some are accepted. Hell used to be a burning pit. Now some denominations treat it as metaphor. The evolution of belief shows the fingerprints of culture, politics, and human progress. Real-world examples prove this over and over. Look at Mormonism. It's less than 200 years old. We can trace its founder, Joseph Smith, and watch the religion grow from a small sect to a global faith. New texts were added. Rules changed. Practices like polygamy were introduced, then later rejected. It's religion being built in real time. Look at Scientology, born in the 20th century by a science fiction writer, L. Ron Hubbard. Again, we see a clear example of how a belief system can be crafted, organized, and marketed to followers. It's not ancient, it's not hidden in mystery. It's made, step by step, idea by idea, until it becomes a full system. Even older religions were built the same way. We just forget their origins. We forget that someone once told a story that became a parable, which became a doctrine, which became a dogma. We forget that behind every sacred law was a person who decided it. This doesn't mean religion was always malicious. Often it came from a genuine place, trying to make sense of suffering, trying to unite people, trying to create meaning in a harsh world. But sincerity doesn't mean accuracy, and cultural usefulness doesn't mean truth. At its core, religion is a very human response to very human problems. It's our attempt to explain the unknown, to soothe our fears, to build communities, and to enforce moral codes. But we must be honest about its construction. It is not divine architecture. It is human architecture, built with stories, symbols, emotions, and social needs. Understanding that doesn't strip life of meaning. It gives us the freedom to create our own. If morality isn't handed down from a mountain, then we must decide together what's right. If purpose isn't written in a holy book, then we're free to write our own. If we weren't created for a reason, then we can choose to live with reason. That, to me, is far more powerful than any myth. So the next time someone tells you that their religion is the absolute truth, ask where it came from. Ask who wrote it, who edited it, who benefited from it, and how it compares to all the other religions that claim the exact same thing. You'll start to see the pattern. A very human pattern, one built not in heaven, but here on earth, by people just like us.